Welcome to the first and final word. Today we will be discussing the Washington Commanders trading Brian Robinson Jr. to the San Francisco 49ers for a sixth round draft pick, as well as week zero in college football. With Nelson Jordan, I'm Chris Nelson. So, Nelson, Brian Robinson Jr. traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a sixth round draft pick. You have the first word.
Brian Robinson, B-Rob, we all love here in Washington, or we did with Ron Rivera when he drafted him. Listen, I love B-Rob. I think he did well for us. I think he's an excellent bruiser as a running back. I'm not going to get too in depth about it, but with the trade that was getting a sixth round in return, if anything, going to San Francisco and kind of getting Debo earlier in the year in the offseason, I think this more was a wash. If anything else, you have two essential contracts that are about to either die off this year or the year afterwards. So, reality speaking, hopefully it works out for the both of us. And I mean, both of us are getting playmakers. And if B Rob really doesn't perform in a plug and play system, in Kyle Shanahan's San Francisco type of run game, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be an starting running back in the future because it's so easy for them to just run over there. And he's going to be an excellent complementary running back to Christian McCaffrey, especially on short yardage, because now you don't have to use him as much in that regard. So, that's my take on it.
Yeah, so I think that he's an upgrade as the backup running back for the 49ers from what they had on the roster, and they need someone to be able to rotate in with Christian McCaffrey so that he's not getting such a crazy heavy workload, and they can have him lasting throughout, remaining fresh throughout games and throughout the season. So I think this is a nice move for the 49ers, and as you said, it's plug and play in that Kyle Shanahan offense for running backs. So I think this will work out well for Brian Robinson Jr. as well. And in terms
Yeah.
of the Commanders, it's all going to come down to what they use that sixth round draft pick on and how that player turns out and what they get in that
Bill.
regard.
Bill's who they call exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
so
they're hoping the
this
best from him. The seventh round
yes.
draft pick, actually. Yes.
What I thought it was a sixth round pick.
He was actually a seventh round draft pick. Yes, he was a seventh round
No, no,
draft
they
pick.
got a sixth round pick for him for the trade. So
Okay, yes.
whatever they use the sixth round pick on is going to
In the
determine
future.
what the Commanders get out of this trade. Is that's what they got, was a sixth round
Okay.
pick. So
So
whoever
I
they
was
take with it,
confused. I'm sorry.
how that player
Yeah.
performs is going to determine how well this trade went for the Commanders. We know what the
Okay.
49ers are getting or what we expect them to get, and he does
Uh-huh.
seem like a better backup running back for them. I think he'll get a good number of carries and
Absolutely.
touches and snaps, and I think he
Yeah.
can be productive and allow Christian McCaffrey to remain fresh. Quick question for you. Days earlier, the 49ers made another trade to acquire Sky Moore from the Kansas City Chiefs, who was in that same draft class as Brian Robinson Jr. a few years ago. How did you feel about that deal and the acquisition for the 49ers?
I think this the 49ers. I think they're trying to reach for more, I don't want to say plug and play, but I think utility pieces. In other words, Sky Moore, he's a good punt returner, or at least he can be one. He's a guy with speed. He's a guy with potential, especially ball in his hands on screen passes and, basically ball in space. That's what he's known for. We really didn't see him unlock that potential in Kansas City just because him and Mahomes just didn't really connect or really didn't have a really good relationship on the field. So, I would hope that him and that offense alongside Ayuk and Kittle and everybody else, I think, we're gonna see LaFleur, not LaFleur, excuse me, we're gonna see Kyle Shanahan, use him in special packages where he's going to use them to his best of his ability. I mean, we saw what he normally did with Debo, out in space, using him in between, essentially the box, if you will. And I'm not to say, Sky Moore's going to do any of those run plays, but given him and his kind of like how small he is and be able to be so elusive, given him on a short screenplay, a wide receiver screenplay, we've seen the potential. He can take a 5 yard essential screenplay into a 20, 30 yard game. So it'll be interesting to see what Kyle Shanahan does. It's just a flyer essentially. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, they know they got, future, per se draft capital to be able to mess with more wide receiver depth in the future.
Brandon Ayuk is out. He's going to miss at least the start of the season. I believe at
Yeah,
least the first six games
that
coming
is
back
correct.
from the
That's
injury.
confirmed. Yes.
And so Sky Moore is going to be starting along with Ricky Pearsall Jr. Those will be your guys on the outside along with Juwan Jennings. So that's what we're looking at for the 49ers. Nelson, you know what we got to do on Saturday? The two of us got to sit down in our respective couches and we got to watch some college football. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was fun watching
Yeah.
some football finally
Yeah,
live on TV.
absolutely. Yeah, it was great. Not preseason. We got to watch some live action out there. So what were your
Exactly.
overall? What were your? We'll start off with the
The
20
Dublin
preseason
game.
22nd ranked Iowa State defeating preseason 17th ranked Kansas State 24 to 21 out there in Dublin. What were your takeaways from the game?
So the first thing first, especially with the Dublin game, I think it's a great tradition for them to have it over there. I was kind of wondering, why is the Notre Dame over there speaking, the Irish and
A
everything
couple of
else,
years ago
right?
they were. They played Navy a couple of
Yeah,
years
and
ago. They crushed. I think it
eh,
was like 35-3. I watched the game.
yeah,
They looked good, and
exactly.
then they kind of okay the rest of the season.
Yeah. But I still think it's a great experience for everyone out there and to take a trip, especially if your favorite college team is out there. But speaking on the game itself, I really Dublin, yeah, I really didn't think the score really indicated how the game really was. Listen, the rain impacted a lot of the game. Unfortunately, if you were watching the game, it was very sloppy throughout the first half. If you fell asleep even watching the game, I don't blame you. Both offensive lines could not get any push. The defenses were just eating them alive. They basically it was just an old school football run game, and if you were going to get anything out of the passing game, it was a short maybe curl route, a short drag route. It was not fun in the first half. It was very boring. Now granted, we saw essentially, a couple of touchdowns, both by the quarterbacks essentially. And then we got to the second half, and then it just took off in the third quarter. I thought the game was fun by that point. I think the weather had kind of, held off a little bit. And I think the commentators are making the note, Chris. I don't know if you could tell too, but it was very hard for me to see the field. I mean, you could not see the lines, you could not see anything
Yeah.
practically. So it was just really crazy conditions that they were dealing with. But as soon as the third, like I said, started, that's when they were throwing haymakers, literally, one quick strike after the other. We saw one drive where Beck was just throwing some really good balls. Same thing with Avery. Both of them were throwing some really good throws. Then we had essentially the strike to get back within the field goal for Kansas State on essentially a busted coverage by the safety biting on the underneath route. So if this was a normal football casual fan watching, it wasn't your cup of tea as far as a game you really wanted to watch. But you did see some two middle of the pack teams, fighting to kind of feel out at least with the game. And, these teams played a good game, at least in their eyes, but it wasn't like we're watching in this weekend coming up, guys. Texas versus Ohio State. That's going to be an excellent game. So,
I mean,
not comparison to that, but
yeah, come
still,
on,
it,
that's
it
not
was a
fair.
fun game. It was a fun game. It was a fun game regardless for what it was. That's all I can say. I mean, realistically, if I had to really put one underlining point, I said it this on my ranking show. Kansas State, I talked about how your interior offensive line is going to run into trouble. Well, I called it, and you guys got
Yeah,
exposed all
yeah.
game long.
Well said.
So, and until further said, you guys are in a lot of trouble. You got the next word, Chris.
Yeah, guys, if you missed that episode, go back and check it out. Even if you just want to look at that Kansas State segment where we talked with them ranked 17th in the preseason AP poll, and Nelson broke it down excellent. You can see it, and he was spot on. And you know what's fun about that, though, that we obviously can only talk about so much we didn't have an opportunity to discuss is they've got that big defensive tackle, Iowa State, that is, with the last name Orange, and his nickname is Big Citrus. And going up against that weak interior offensive line, man, did he feast. And what a great nickname. I love that one.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
Iowa State have a season like last year just so they can play in the Orange Bowl so that Big Citrus can play in the Orange Bowl? We need that. We need that.
Well, they have the offense. Listen, they have an offense. They
I
do. It
liked the
looks like it.
defense. Yeah, hey, let's get into it because I've got plenty. Sean McDonough made a point on the broadcast. He stated that it rains an average of 150 days a year in Dublin. Why
That
don't
sounds
you
about
have
right.
a roof on your stadium if it rains 150 days a year? How is that practical? That's so frustrating. Nelson, we sit down to watch a football game. We don't want to have it impacted by the weather. This isn't youth league. This is big time football. I didn't want to see that. I mean, it was plagued the first half and into the third quarter by fumbles and dropped passes. I mean, let me get into it a little bit.
Yeah, the turnovers. Yeah.
Iowa State came out on the opening drive of the game. They had the ball first, and they're running the ball, run, right? I think it was like the first
Absolutely.
4, 5, 6, 7 plays, and it was working.
Yeah, it was straight
They
runs.
were
Yeah.
moving the ball. They got near midfield. They had a 4-yard gain on first down, so they have a 2nd and 6, which is where you want to be, right? And
Yeah.
approaching midfield, they just called a pass play. Why? Why? Fire the offensive coordinator right now. Why did you call a pass play there? It was working. Why did you bail the defense out? You stopped yourself. And then he throws the ball high and behind. Rocco Beck did. And so the receiver couldn't make the catch. He had him open. I mean, to the offense coordinator's credit, it was the right call, but the ball's slippery and he couldn't throw a wet ball, Troy Aikman-esque, and he just missed. He missed. And it was so frustrating. And now all of a sudden you're on a 3rd and 6. Call it 3rd and medium. That's really more of a 3rd and long. And it derailed the whole drive. Nelson, what was wrong with they couldn't figure out the pass protection for most of the game. They finally got it sorted out late in the 3rd quarter, but give Kansas State's defensive line coach, first of all, and coordinator credit for drawing up those rush schemes. I mean, those guys
stunts,
had 3 rushers. The stunts. You had 3 rushers, no one touching them on a consistent basis coming after Rocco Beck. But how could they never figure out the pass protection? I don't get it. How do you never adjust?
But you got to put blame too, because one of my notes too that I forgot to mention too. I thought Beck's awareness in the pocket was very poor throughout the whole
Thank
entire
you.
game.
It was
He
brutal. I
he
hadn't even
he
gotten to that.
had
I was going to say it.
he had a couple of runs up the middle and scrambles that made you turn your head like, okay, well, damn, that's pretty good. But the
But
majority of the
later,
game,
later.
it was poor. It was so poor.
But that was the whole problem. It just seemed like Iowa State wasn't well prepared, but that's okay. It's you never know what you're getting into. My problem was it took them so long to adjust, and it's easy
Yeah.
to sit here and say they won the game, but look, I've got plenty more to touch on, including some of this stuff that you just mentioned, and I'll have you jump in here a little bit again. But so now you're in 3rd and 6, and as we just discussed, he gets sacked. The drive was over. Now you have to
Yeah,
punt.
unexcusable.
Inexcusable. I mean, come on. And it was brutal. And he held the ball too long. He did.
Oh
He
yeah.
held the ball too long. That ball's got to be out. We'll touch on that a bit more later with some of these other games. That ball's got to be out, guys. It's got to be out. 1, 2, 3, out. Come on.
Exactly.
This is FBS Division I college football. I mean, you know
Right.
it, Nelson. You watch a lot of this in NFL as well. We know.
Yep.
And so they punt, and Dylan Edwards, who I don't know about you, but I was so excited to watch him. I mean, he just, you think back Kansas State guys, I'm not making this direct comparison, but maybe like a Darren Sproles. I mean, he's just so explosive when he gets the ball in space. He's fun to watch. And he muffs the punt, and then he adds injury to insult. He's knocked out for the rest of the game. It was the first time he took the field. We never got to see him take an offensive snap. It was devastating.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm a Kansas State fan, and I look back at this game, and I'll bring this up again when we're done with this segment, I feel like we lost that game by a field goal, and he basically missed the entire game. We were the better team, and we lost simply because he got hurt. That's how I would feel. And Iowa State has their number. That's 3 years in a row now. I think it's 5 out of the past 6, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me on
I'm
that.
not sure you know better than me on that one, but yeah.
So it's just so frustrating, but they turn around, and there were some other plays that I won't dive into that I was frustrated with on the next situation for time
Right.
constraints, but they have a high snap and fumble that, and Kansas State gets the ball anyway.
Oh, that was
Hey,
brutal. That was
thanks,
brutal.
thanks for muffing the punt. We'll just do the same thing and give it right back to you. So they wind up with it anyway. But they're
Yeah.
backed up. I mean, in a game like this, you described it perfectly. You're playing in the mud. It's that 3 yards in a cloud of dust. The defenses are great. Field position is everything. And so they're backed up. Iowa State, it just took them too long to take advantage of that. And you wind up in a situation, you said you felt like Avery Johnson had some accurate passes. This is my take on Avery Johnson as a quarterback, and I felt this way coming into the game. Avery Johnson is your prototypical college quarterback. He's a very inaccurate
Yeah,
passer. He misses so many throws, but he's very athletic. He can
I
really
agree.
run. And if you run a quick pass game with him, which they had the tight ends to do, and they have some speedy wide receivers, it works perfectly, but you've got to run that offense. When you've got guys running actual routes and him dropping back and making reads and trying to make actual throws down the field that aren't to wide open guys, which you touched on a little bit, we saw later, he misses. He's going to miss. You've got to let him run. Have a run offense. You want to run with the backs, run with him, and then dink and dunk.
absolutely.
And when they did that, it did work. But on the first drive, they were in, I believe it was a 3rd and 7, and he threw low and behind, and the ball was dropped.
Yeah,
And
I
again,
remember.
the conditions, the wet ball, the rain, it was
Uh-huh.
dropped.
Yep, yep,
We saw
yep.
so many inaccurate passes from these quarterbacks, Nelson. It was
Mm-hmm.
infuriating. I don't want to hear about the conditions. I mean, you're playing at that level. These are experienced quarterbacks. These
I'll
are the,
piggy, I'll piggyback
please,
off of you too.
please.
Avery Johnson, like you said, he's a college quarterback, but what blew my mind is well, two plays. I'll refer to the one I was talking about earlier, but there was a zero blitz, if not a fire blitz, that Iowa State was throwing at them. I believe right before the red zone when they were approaching, and literally, if Avery just literally stood tall in the pocket, and he would have saw that a slot receiver on his strong side was wide open running down the seam. Like wide open, not there wasn't a safety probably 5, 6, 7 yards away from
And
him,
and I was
and
going to
instead,
not that specific play, but I was going to come to that because that happened a lot.
and no joke, if he just literally kept his eyes down the field, he would have spotted him, and that would have been a touchdown walk-in. And then
Yes.
that last play where I was talking about how they had answered back to Iowa State's touchdown to go up
Mhm.
10 points. If the safety doesn't, cut under and he actually stays
Yeah,
back,
we're going to
then
come to
he's
that.
he's picking that off. That was a
Well,
really bad throw.
let,
That was
let's
a bad
let's
throw.
let's skip
That was
ahead.
a bad throw.
Let's skip ahead though, because in that situation, you have a 10-point lead with, I believe, it was under 6.5 minutes to go in the
Just
game.
about.
Because I was going to come to that as I progressed through the game anyway. I believe it was under 6.5 to go. In that situation, you can't play the ball. You have to play the man, play the receiver, because even if you got to time it right to where the ball hits his hands and you hit him, and you try to get the pass break up that way. But even if he catches it, you tackle him in the field of play. That clock keeps running. You have a 10-point lead. You need to force them to drive the ball down the field. Kansas State, other than the one play they had a couple drives earlier where they again blew the coverage and left the receiver wide open with the double move. Other than that one play, Kansas State could not get.
It was the first half, and I believe Kansas State had the ball. They had the opportunity to be able to take a timeout if they wanted to, and
Iowa
then
State. Kansas
or
State
Iowa
had the
State.
ball, and they wound up. And the reason was that Matt Campbell didn't use his timeouts because of exactly what happened when Kansas State punted. They pinned him back on inside their own 5. It was like on their own 3 or something, and he didn't want to take any chances in the rain being backed up inside his own
Okay,
5 in that situation. But I'm with you, and I actually did want to touch on that a little bit, and I wasn't sure if I was going to.
go
But
ahead.
I do want to make a quick point with that. It's something that you mentioned, we mentioned a couple times. And those situations when you're backed up like that at the end of a half and you're playing against a defense that's playing very aggressive and they're jumping everything, they're going to get even more aggressive because they
Oh,
want to score
absolutely.
to end the half. They want
Oh,
that game to go
absolutely.
a touchdown. They're trying to score. You can try to take advantage of that by leaking a receiver out and trying to throw the arm down the field for like a 97-yard touchdown.
What
And a
did
lot
Tom
of
Brady
times
always say?
you see it in the NFL a lot. It works. It works not a lot. I don't mean to exaggerate, but every once in a while, you see it maybe once or twice a year, something like that. It works, and even if it doesn't, take the chance. Go ahead. What do you have on Tom
Tom
Brady?
Brady always said it. If you ain't gonna risk it, you ain't gonna get no biscuit. I mean, that's exactly what they did in Tampa. They knew even if they were what end of the half or whatever, and they knew
Yeah,
your defense was gonna be essentially aggressive. Well, guess what? Either it's gonna be an incompletion or there's a PI. What do you want? What do you want? Straight up, right?
exactly. No,
So
that's what I was thinking. I think maybe there was some doubt on the part of Iowa State because their top 2 wide receivers from last year are in the NFL now, and they just they don't feel as confident in the guys they have, even though
maybe,
the guy they were
maybe,
excited about did look good in the game. The receiver he was
yeah,
excited about, the wide receiver, the tight ends we knew we were going to get. But yeah, I do
absolutely.
just though to touch back on what you were talking about. I just have a couple more things. Iowa State almost cost themselves the game when they had it after Kansas State scored. They drove back down and kicked the field goal to take the lead. But prior to that, on the third down, I believe it was a 3rd and 2, the receiver came out of his break and slipped on the wet field, and the ball, he was falling, and the ball hit him in his hands, and he
Hmm.
dropped it because he was falling,
I
and
remember
it
that.
would
I
have been a
remember that.
first down. And they had to kick the field goal. They should have potentially, in all likelihood, have had a touchdown on that drive. That could have come back to bite them.
Yeah,
But the
yeah,
game
obviously.
the
Go
game
ahead.
came down to the 4th downs. And look, you can criticize Kansas State all you want, but every time they went for it on 4th down, I felt like it was the right decision. I questioned the play calling, but if you convert, they had 4 4th downs, right? And they converted 2 of them. If you convert 50% of your 4 4th down attempts, that's pretty
Might
dang
have been two
good.
for three.
I'm pretty positive 2 for 4. But Iowa State was perfect 3 for 3 on 4th down, and that was the problem. It wasn't
Yeah,
Kansas State going for it on 4th down and failing to convert. It was the defense couldn't get off the field on 4th down for Kansas State. You have to be able to get the one time you got to be able to get the stop and get them off the field.
but that's where the credit is due. I mean, the offensive coordinator for Iowa State. I mean, he was just one step ahead. I mean, he was literally playing like a video game essentially. He knew what they were going to run, what pressures they were going to do, and Beck answered. Literally, he answered on all of them. So credit to where credit's due.
Well, and I liked that they started using Rocco Becht more as a runner in the second half. I think that's what alleviated
I
Kansas State's
agree.
pressure. finally, and he ran the ball well. I mean, he wasn't Avery Johnson's speed and athleticism, but it worked. He was running well, and that was ultimately late in the game. He had a big run before the play that you
I agree.
mentioned, where he got it to
I
the
agree.
back that set that up. But my one last point is going to be on the Kansas State fourth down they failed on their third to last drive, second to last drive. But the drive before they, in between the two blown coverages that allowed them to get the long touchdown passes. In between those, they went for the fourth down in their own territory, inside their own 30, and didn't get it. My
Hmm.
problem, they should have gone for that. My problem wasn't with that. It was that earlier in the game, it's funny, earlier in the half, actually, I saw a setup where it was a short yard situation that they wound up converting on a different play, but I was watching the defense and the way they spread out the receivers, Kansas State did, and I was like, if you want to run a quarterback power sweep here, you could, and it will work with Avery Johnson. But when they actually ran it later on, when he didn't get the first down and it came down to, it was so close, I was looking at it and I'm like, oh no, they're going to run him on the sweep right now. It's not there. And that's one of my problem with Avery Johnson is you mentioned about, I mentioned on the 4th and 8, maybe sending someone down the seam. You mentioned about that. And on that play, he never read the defense and made an adjustment. And I mean, even call timeout maybe in those situations if you're the offensive coordinator knowing your quarterback's not going to audible
Right.
and see how the defense is lined up. Whoa, this isn't going to work. Let's not run this.
Right.
That was where my issue was with that. So, hey, we'll move on from this. We have plenty more we could be saying. We know that, but we'll move on. What were your takeaways from the primetime Week 0 slate?
I mean, which game do you want to start off with? I mean, there were so many games. I mean, there were a few good ones, and
Yeah.
there was a blowout. So, let's start off with the Idaho State versus UNLV at Allegiant Stadium.
Okay,
I
perfect.
did I did see some of it, and let me tell you, this was a fun game. If most folks did not watch, I would recommend you go watch the highlights. This was actually a fun game.
Good for you, Nelson.
They
That's a real college football fan right there. Tune into the Mountain West Network to watch the game. I love it.
let me tell you, it was literally a dogfight until literally the fourth quarter, and that's
Yeah.
exactly when
Yeah.
UNLV just pulled away. I mean, but
Well, the
still, it was a
game-winning
dogfight.
touchdown.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I think even UNLV had a really massive spread against Idaho State, and Idaho State literally
They tried
caught
to
them
bring
off
that.
guard.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just insane. I mean, 31-38, for God freaking sakes. And Idaho State was the first ones that jumped the gun, too. So give credit to where credit is due. Again, this was a close game until essentially the fourth quarter. There was no defense in this game whatsoever. If anyone even looks at the stats, over 1,000 yards total offense, both for 500 or plus.
That's
Both
bonkers. That's just
it's
nuts.
insane. No, it's stupid insane.
That's a lot of fun.
Listen. As I stated before, listen. You had actually the big difference in this game was reality speaking. If you're looking at it, Idaho State they were so aggressive, and the quarterbacks essentially threw four total interceptions. Their
Yeah,
starting
I was gonna
quarterback,
say the
he yeah.
interceptions. Yeah,
Yeah, Jordan, he threw three by himself,
that's what I was
which
gonna say
led
too.
to
Three
turnovers and
interceptions.
points as
That
well.
was the difference. You're 100%
Um,
right.
yeah, but let's give credit to where credit's due in this game. There was a couple of stars in this game which really did stand out. You had Dason Brook who actually ran for 132 total yards, two TDs, 7.3 yards a clip. My goodness. Thomas also ran for 10 times for 147, three touchdowns. I mean, there was literally no whatsoever defense in this game. This was a straight offense. This was like playing literally NCAA football on
Yeah,
PlayStation. I'm
yeah,
not even kidding.
yeah.
This game was literally possessed, but still, I mean, it was a fun game. If I were anybody, listen, go watch the highlights on this game. It was mad fun. But if there was a spoiler in this game, I believe it was, if I recall, Dan Mullen. I think it was his first back as a head coach now
Correct.
for
Win.
UNLV. He got
Yep.
the wins. Yeah, big props to him. Awesome game. I don't know if you had any feedback on that, but awesome game.
I will later, but I'm going to let you finish all of your thoughts here, and then I'm going to do this a little bit different. So
Okay.
yeah,
Continuing on with the next couple of games
yeah.
too,
Just
as
do
well.
get it
Okay.
all out for the
All
whole
right.
slate,
So
and
this
I've got a
this
different
this
way
would
I'd
be
like
like
to
a
go
2 minute
about
drill.
this.
Fire off. So I'm
Let's
gonna
do
two
it.
minute
Let's
drill
do it.
this.
Yeah, I love it.
So Fresno State versus Kansas. If anybody tuned in on the Fox, listen, this was just a straight up blowout. Fresno State didn't even belong in the same field, in my opinion, with Kansas at the time.
Well, I mean, come
Uh,
on. That's the whole point of a Week 0 game. They're hosting them. I mean,
I mean, we
it,
can say
it's
that, but I mean,
Fresno.
we
It's
put
Fresno State. Derek Carr's not walking through that door. Devontae Adams is not walking through that door. It's Fresno State. I mean, come on.
I mean, yeah, I mean, come on, yeah, but we can point, 1 week later, and college football already has week one loaded with a lot of big games, and that's just the first week of the college football. But anyway,
Yeah,
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. But
yeah,
listen, Kansas versus Fresno State. This was just straight up a beatdown by Kansas. Jalen Daniels.
yeah. Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, Jalen
And
Daniels.
this is his sixth season. He's been around. If you don't know about him, you're not a college football fan.
He went 12 for 20, 176 yards, three TDs.
Yep.
Fairly good in this game.
Fairly
Can't pick
good.
it.
He was
Yeah,
18 for 20, by the way. He had more touchdown passes than
18 for 20.
incompletions.
You're correct. You're
Woo!
correct.
And he ran. He
Pickett
ran well.
Pickett had 77 yards and two TDs. He had a couple of really good grabs. But what really stood out was Kansas overall rushing. They ran for over 200 yards. My goodness. It was just a running herd out there.
Yeah.
Fresno State just couldn't stop them at
And
all.
the defense had a couple picks, right?
Yeah, they did. They had a
Yeah.
couple of picks too. I
Off
believe
of
it was
Kurt Warner's son.
two interceptions. Two
Yeah,
interceptions
off
total.
Kurt Warner's son. So he's not his father.
But listen, Fresno State. I'm not going to dog you all game long. Listen, Fresno State. You actually guys did do some not some damage, but at least you guys were able to sustain drives. You actually were able to get 7 out of 15 third down conversions, which is pretty good by all means. But still, regardless of the
Yeah.
fact, you guys didn't put up points. And when you guys were in the opposite end of the field, you guys were turning the ball over. You guys were stalling out. It was just not a pretty game by any means. Get over to Sam Houston versus Western Kentucky. If anybody did even catch this game, which to my chagrin, I saw the highlights and I did see the CBS cut-ins with the CBS Sports also.
Yeah, CBS. Yes,
Western
sir.
Kentucky were just flying in this game.
They
If
played
anybody
very
saw
well.
any, whoo,
Yeah,
my
they played very well.
goodness.
And they really got going late in the game. They were down
Yes.
in the second half, and then they just took over. They played very well.
Maverick Mulver, 401 yards total throwing, three
Woo!
TDs.
Go
Let me tell you
ahead.
on that.
Go ahead, young
Oh my
fella.
goodness.
That's how you ball out.
Henry, seven receptions, 148 yards, one touchdown. And let me tell you right now, a lot of people are saying right now this could literally be an NFL draft pick in the future. Watch out. He could be one guy you might want to watch out for. So anybody literally scouting for a future, hey, NFL draft pick, he could be one of them out of that school. He had a
Yeah.
50-yard catch as well, 55-yard catch. And if anybody saw, I believe he was the one that caught, I believe it was a straight go route down the left-hand side, and he was able to get that right on the pylon. It was an amazing catch by him.
That was the falling, and he got the pass is a little bit inaccurate, right? That's the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It
I
was
saw that. I
just
was watching it. Yeah,
woof,
yeah. I lost it on
insane.
that one. Yeah, I was like, dang, what a
Insane.
catch! Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Sam Houston. If I really had to say Sam Houston, look, you guys were able to run the ball on them. 173 total yards, two TDs, so you guys definitely have a good running game. Because I'm not going to dog you, even though it was literally a 42-24 score or something like that.
41,
Yeah,
24. Yeah, yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
They got beat
exactly.
down.
Yeah, they got beat down, and I mean, you guys got beat down obviously by this stat alone. 2 for 14 on third downs. What in the gobble is that, huh? 2 for 14 on third downs? That is not good, especially if you're going to try to keep up with
Not
somebody scoring
good.
42
That
points.
is brutal. That's an embarrassment to the
Hey,
sport
listen,
of football.
I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice. All right.
You're always nice, Nelson. We know you're the good cop. I'm the bad cop. I get it. I got to jump in here and really crack down on them. Look, if this was soccer, they would have been relegated for that.
Relegated? Shoot, I think we need to send them to the subdivision of football, right? The
That's what I'm saying.
FBS.
Yeah, exactly.
But the game that I think everybody did not catch, and it was I don't want to say it was a boring game, but it was an interesting game. Hawaii versus Stanford. Now listen, if nobody saw this game or heard about this game, it was interesting from the standpoint of, well, you had a former head coach, Frank Reich. He used to be an assistant coach for the Colts. Then he became the head coach of the Panthers. And I'm gonna get to why he's laughing later. Because trust me, I can relate on this right now. Andrew
I
Luck,
can't.
former quarterback of the Colts, and also former Stanford quarterback. He's now the GM of the Stanford Cardinals. So at the same token, they want to get Stanford back up to the program that they used to be for many moons ago. So at least that's what he's, thinking, right? With hiring Frank Reich. But let me talk away from Stanford. Let me focus on Hawaii. So if anybody did not catch this game, you had a true freshman quarterback who, in my mind, is a true freshman quarterback. But boy, did this guy, for the college game that he played, and that game specifically, he played his heart out. Listen, he got a illegal hip drop tackle, which is illegal in the NFL, but not in NCAA football. I don't know how the NCAA football does not have that as illegal, but it should be illegal because the way that he bent backwards, that was an egregious tackle. And I'm surprised he was able to come back in and play the way that he did because he played his guts out, especially in the second half, if anybody did see that. So I'm going to fast forward because then
Can I
once you
ask?
got to the
Can I
second,
ask real quick?
go ahead. You can ask.
Just going to throw this out there, and if it's blasphemy, come at me. Tua Tagovailoa? Maybe? No? Too far?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit?
I see a little bit of resemblance. I see a little bit of resemblance. I know that the CBS analysts, or at least the play-by-play and the color analysts, both of them, were talking how he looks like to be comped to a Tua.
Oh, they did. I didn't hear
But
that. Oh, I just thought it my own. I missed that. All right. Well, never
no,
mind.
they,
Credit to them. I clearly stole it and piggybacked. I apologize, CBS crew. Good
well,
job, guys.
yeah. I mean, he's got the size of a Tua. He has
He's a
essentially the
lefty
left. He's
and
a
same,
lefty and everything. Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's a
So
Hawaiian kid, so from the islands. So
exactly.
yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Exactly,
Go ahead.
but Milan, I think his name is Milan Alejado. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Hey, well
but
done.
that's his name. So he's the true freshman quarterback of Hawaii. Listen, he played his heart out in the second half primarily. Just check the highlights for the second half. He had some amazing throws that he actually threw. I
Well,
believe both of them were on the
both
touchdown
touchdown
throws.
passes were in the first half. So
I,
don't
I
just
believe I thought they were in the
no.
second half.
He threw two
No,
touchdown
you are right.
passes in the
You
first
are
half.
right. They were in the
Yeah.
first half. Yes,
Second
you
quarter,
were
I
right.
believe. Yeah. So ignore the first quarter and then you're right. Watch those final three
Yes,
quarters highlights. Yeah. Yeah.
I stand correct. Yes, they were in the
No,
second
you.
quarter, but
Hey
both
man,
the
we're watching so much football. It's so hard to know exactly where we're at in the games,
But
man.
honestly, if anybody did see the throws, they were literally bucket throws.
Yeah.
I literally those were, oh my goodness, for a true freshman quarterback, for a true freshman. And if
Yeah.
anybody doesn't know what a true freshman is, that's a second year essential freshman quarterback that's now actually starting.
He
You know,
literally was
for
playing high school football last year, is what it is. It's his first year in college. That's what a true freshman is.
so I mean, it's crazy. I mean, honestly, what he did in that game, he had a lot of fun in that game. And what I saw too, especially on the final drive after Frank Reich, you did it again by literally dumbing down on what you used to do in the NFL. And I know Chris will say something about that later, but you literally did dumb down once again. Because Stanford, you gave the game literally away on a silver platter. How could you? Literally, and Hawaii was outworking you all game long, and you guys had the opportunity to steal it late. But Frank Reich, as always, gets in the way. But anyhow, quarterback, listen, Alejandro, I love what you did in the final drive. You were able to literally just precisely pick apart that Stanford defense, which was literally giving you problems throughout the whole entire game. And by God, hey, listen, that Matsuzaka kid, that guy who kicked the game-winning field goal, what a story. Essentially
Yeah, that's
learning
cool.
from YouTube, from
Yeah.
Japan,
Yeah.
playing in junior college and now playing in Hawaii. Listen, that's a moment he's never going to forget. And you know what? That was the probably most fun part about the game too. So honestly, it was an interesting game. And if anybody didn't catch it, watch the highlights. It was very fun to
Hey
watch
man,
through some parts of the game.
you just talked about a
So
walk-off field goal. You're not doing better than that. And
exactly, that's your dream.
technically, it was an upset. But Nelson, was it an upset? Was it really an upset?
To be honest with you, I would say yeah, in a sense of
Okay.
like, listen, you have Frank Reich over there, a
But I
former
mean, it's
NFL
Stanford
coach.
is a Power Four program, and Hawaii is. I mean, come on, dude, it's
But
Hawaii.
I was going to lead to that. You have Frank Reich. You had all this talent that Stanford should have, right? And essentially, Stanford coming from essentially a big power school that they are. So it's like, well, Hawaii, good job. Because literally, you know what? You showed what college football is all about by literally kicking their butt. Literally, because that's what you did. I don't know about you, Chris, but those are all my takes on all the college football we saw that weekend. So it was fun, right?
The way I'm going to do this, I've got some shout outs and I've got some call outs. So let's get to them. I will start
Sure.
with Jalen Daniels, as you mentioned. Exceptional performance. Exceptional performance. So shout out Jalen Daniels for that exceptional performance. Shout out Kansas. The new stadium looks beautiful. It looks outstanding.
$425 million renovations.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it looks great. So shout out Kansas University. Great job on your part. It looks great. Shout out the Kansas defense. You gave up an opening drive touchdown. Shut them out the rest of the way. Great job. Great performance all around. Very impressive, Kansas. I get it. You're hosting Fresno State. I don't care. We're evaluating what we saw, and it was very good. So we'll start there. I do have to call out the quarterback for Hawaii briefly because he did bounce back. So I'll give him his credit. He threw those two touchdown passes. He led a game-winning drive despite being hobbled. It was a warrior-like
Yeah.
effort. It was awesome. But first of all, let's call out the kickoff returner. The ball bounces and you fair caught it. You don't know the rules? Why don't you know the rules? You can't do that. Now they're on their own one. The coach decides, I'm going to trust my quarterback. We're going to throw the ball from our own end zone. Get rid of the ball! You need to have a clock in your head, dude. Drop, 1, 2, 3, gone. You're in your own end zone. You can't hold the ball and lose it for a touchdown for Stanford. If that play doesn't happen, both those plays, that game doesn't come down to a walk-off field goal. Hawaii was better. They were better.
Yeah, all game.
That cannot happen. Credit for the bounce-back effort. But, dude, get rid of the football. Oh, man. Gotta call out Frank Reich, Andrew Luck, and the ACC.
Oh, here we go.
Really, Jim Phillips. I'm calling you out, Jim Phillips. You had to bring Stanford into the ACC to elevate the conference? They lost to Hawaii. The team's called the Rainbow Warriors.
Oh, boy.
Have you watched the game at Palo Alto? There's no fans in the stands. How does that elevate the conference? Oh, they're good at Olympic sports. Nelson, how much revenue do the Olympic sports bring in college? 0! Who cares? Why are they in the conference? How did that elevate the conference? What are you doing? And we know it was you, North Carolina State. We know it was you. Your athletic director is a grown man named Boo. And he couldn't hold his water. He's like, yeah, let's vote him in. We want him. The man who killed the ACC. It's just ridiculous. Frank Reich doesn't seem to know how to use his timeouts. He doesn't know how to call good plays. He doesn't know how to manage a game. I mean, you said Andrew Luck brought him in. Dude, Andrew Luck didn't even make him the coach. He made him the interim coach. Hey, come on, I'm going to give you an interim tag for one season because I don't actually trust you to be the actual coach. I just need you to do this job for a season. But really, Andrew Luck, you couldn't find anyone better? I mean, come on. Frank Reich had some great comebacks. At the time, the biggest comeback in college football history and the biggest comeback in NFL history when he was playing quarterback. But the comeback we don't want to see is for his coaching career. Go back to retirement where you were last year. The only thing that wants you coming back is retirement. We don't want to see you out there on that sideline. I mean, that was brutal.
But we can safely say though with Stanford, it's like, how much are they really going to care if Frank Reich really tanks the whole season? Because I don't know if they really appreciate their football program like it once used to be. It once used to be very good, like a decade or so ago, but it just hasn't.
Sure, when Jim Harbaugh was there and David Shaw had some good years taking over for him, but have you seen them in recent years? And the biggest storylines they've had have been off the field with the coaching situation. It's a joke.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, we could go full in depth, but it's really bad.
I mean, does anyone at Palo Alto even know that Stanford lost to Hawaii? I mean, I think the only thing they're focused on is staying up till 3 a.m. to develop the app that we're using right now to record this and produce this episode. They probably
the stadium doesn't even look like, to me, it's a football stadium. It looks like literally an English Premier League freaking soccer stadium. The way it looks like. I'm just being honest.
No, you're right. Call out Dave Mullen and UNLV. You were hyping them. I'm not with you. You're playing in Las Vegas. You're out there in the desert where they put out those lines for the games. You were 30-point favorites, and you had to win on a game-winning touchdown as 30-point favorites in Las Vegas. No, not good enough, Dan Mullen. Not good enough. Calling you out. Shout out FCS was also back. Great to see. Fun to watch those games, flipping back and forth with those as well. Got to shout out Fleetwood. First PGA Tour win, winning the FedEx Cup playoff. So shout out to him from what we saw on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Shout out Chinese Taipei. First winning their Little League College World Series.
Little World Series.
Almost 30 years. And they were a powerhouse prior to the past, almost 30 years. So credit to them for getting it done. And credit to Nevada for being the runner-up and winning the U.S. Championship and getting there. Go ahead. So, hey, credit to all the kids that partook in the Little League World Series and the success they had. It was a lot of fun to watch and can't wait to see it next August. We love it every year. So, hey, shout out to all the champions from this weekend, guys who had great performances. But some of you all do better. Come on, Stanford. Come on, Jim Phillips. You just come on, Jim Phillips. So, Nelson, we have one last thing that we need to do today. The Fantasy Football League, Bristols Pistols, has requested that we do the reveal for their draft order coming up here.
Ooh, so this should be fun.
I hold in my hand their draft order to reveal to them right now. You ready?
All right. Should we do a countdown?
We're going to count it down from the bottom, but let's have some fun with it because let's start with number 9, 10-team league. Let's save number 10 for a little bit later because that's the last pick in the first round, and we know that whoever it is going to receive some endless mocking. So we want to allow him to have that moment so that he can get
like a live show, essentially. I see where you're going to go.
I think it's snake draft in fantasy football, right? So you actually get back
to
the first pick of the second round. But
Hmm.
to be fair, if you're the last kid picked on the playground, nobody remembers if you score first. They just remember you were the last kid picked on the playground. So,
I
all right,
mean,
number nine.
let's go for it.
Number nine, we have Ryan McClatchy. Last year in the league, Ryan McClatchy had the worst record in the league at 4-10, and yet he's picking number nine. Tough luck, guy. He had the longest losing streak in the league at 6 straight losses. He narrowly avoided finishing in last place, finishing in ninth by winning the quote unquote last place game. So maybe that builds him some momentum. He also just had his first child a couple weeks ago. So hey, congratulations, man, on the birth of your first son. But from
Congrats, man.
when I have heard, when your wife held her newborn son in her arms for the first time and spoke her first words to him, they were, "Please don't be as bad at fantasy football as your father. I can't handle the embarrassment." So that's just what I heard. That's just what I heard. So next up at number 8, we have the commissioner, Poppy Tony, Anthony
Oh,
Rivera. Yeah. He
okay,
actually, he
okay.
actually he actually offered me a bribe to make him the number one pick, but look, I have to stand up and have integrity for our two viewers, so I had to make sure I turned that bribe down. I couldn't accept that, so he winds up with the number 8 pick. So we'll see how he does. And last year he was actually the runner-up. Good season. He was 8-6
Good
through the first
stuff.
14 weeks, and he finished as the runner-up. He unfortunately came up short in the championship game, so he ends up with that number 8 pick, and we'll see what he can do with it in the season he can have. Number 7, we have Dr. Doom is the team name. Jeremy Chaney is the name of the player. At number 6, we have Team Marquina. It's Steven Marquina's team. Steven last season finished in 7th place with a 500 record through the first 14 weeks of 7-7. So I imagine he's hoping for a little bit better this year, but apparently we want to just leave him right where he was because we're only bumping him up a spot from number 7 to number 6 for the draft. So we'll see how he can do with that. Number 5, Kakalaki Krakas. That's the team name. I'm just reading it. That is
That's a
that
fun. That's
is
a fun one.
Hey, yeah. Listen, that's probably the most creative name we've seen, so the rest of the league needs to step it up. That is
All right,
Alec Owen's team, and he finished in 4th place last year, also with a
not
500
bad.
record of 7-7. So he made a nice little run to the semifinal in the postseason after going just 500 through the first 14 weeks. So
Okay, okay, okay.
number 5 pick there. Number 4, Habesha Tom Brady. I got a feeling I said that first word wrong. Habesha. I'm sure I know what that
it,
is.
it,
I'm ignorant on this one.
it,
Go ahead, Nelson. Call
either
me
way,
out.
they're a good. Oh, either way, they're a good spot, right? They're what, top four picking.
Number 4 pick, and they finished 8th in the league, also with a 500 record. We got a few of those at 7-7 last year through the first 14 weeks. So
Looks like they had some
they
tiebreakers with them.
yeah, they need that number 4 pick. Apparently, they got some work to do. Number 3, we have Squad Dubs, Devin Fortune
Scott
Westerman.
Dubs.
Yeah, 6-8 record through the first 14 weeks. 3rd place finish in the league. Nelson, what does that say to you about the quality of the league overall?
It says that these guys definitely are, they're drafting some key players, but it also seems to me that a lot of teams are not trading. And when you're not trading, you're literally just not making it fun for the league and you're not taking home run shots potentially. And this is when you get a lot of 500 type stuff, especially with league owners.
Well, from 6-8 through the first 14 weeks to a 3rd place finish, now he gets the number 3 pick in the draft. Let's see if he can turn around, carry that momentum into next season, and get it done.
Yeah.
Number 2, the rich get richer. We have the defending champion, Team Dunn, James Dunn. 7-7 last year, won the championship. I can't
Seven and
make this
seven
stuff
and
up. I can't make this stuff up. I'm reading it. I also am informed that he did so without making a single waiver wire addition the entire season. That's just what I'm reading.
And can I just take a random
Rumors?
shot at people here at the league? Like,
Absolutely.
are
That's what
are
we're here
are are,
for.
pe- are people holding a gun to your heads, guys? Like, is this why you guys are not letting any of your players go? Like, what's the deal here? Like, do you guys not strategize very well? Well, I'll give you an added bonus. Well, if you watch our content. Hey, listen, I'm your guy when it comes to fantasy football content, so I'll be breaking it down. I'm in 4 leagues myself this year, and typically, half my leagues, I'm literally in the playoff bracket every single year, and if I'm not winning trophies, I'm finishing third or better. So, I'm telling you that right now. I mean, listen to me, and you might get more traction on your opponents this year. I'm not joking.
Or you wind up being wrong and they harass you on X, so, or Twitter, whatever you want to call
I
it. So,
mean, hey, listen, I can't prevent injuries. I can't prevent
yeah.
COVID or what it was back before. I can't prevent people getting traded. That's all I can say.
All
I
right.
can't speak anymore.
Yeah. So we have two teams left. One's going to pick first. One's going to pick last. Coincidentally,
Oh wow.
we have the team that finished with the best record overall last year at 10-4 through the first 14 weeks. They had a 9-game winning streak. So I guess were hot for one point. And the rest of the season, they really struggled because they finished in 5th place. So a brutal end to what was a very good season. That's Team Copeland. Matt Copeland, who I hear if you're ever in LA, has a great hookup for both Lakers and Clippers tickets. So keep that in mind.
Oh.
That's your go-to
Oh.
guy. Yeah, yeah. If we
Oh,
want to go out
okay.
there and do a podcast, that's the guy. And he probably knows more about NBA than either of us and Derek. Who if you all are fans of the
Well,
program, you should
shoot. I
know.
mean, this maybe we might need to take a trip over and see, the LA Lakers with, Doncic and
Yeah,
LeBron,
yeah,
huh?
maybe. Hey,
Hey,
the
Copeland, I hope you're
Clippers are
hearing.
looking pretty good, and they got that new arena. Yeah, Matt
Yeah.
Copeland, that's our guy. And then the last place finisher last year at 5-9 and lost that last place game
Oof.
to
Brutal.
Ryan McClatchy. That's Team Snowden. So one of them is going to be first, one's going to be
Snowden.
last. So I'm going to just go ahead and give the number one pick because number one pick you got to get the love. Team
Eh.
Snowden. So can you turn around? You got the number one draft pick. Can you go from last to first? And Team Copeland.
So
Sorry, Copeland. You got
that's
stuck with
funny.
that number 10 pick.
Snowden is
10 pick.
Snowden is exile to the other side of the world. How in the heck does he get the first draft pick? Well, you know what? Hey, look, big ups to you getting the first pick. Listen, don't think about it too much. That's all. Look, listen. There's so many good picks on the board. Just do your math, do your strategy, what you're looking for. If anything, I literally wish you guys nothing but the best. And if anything else, just know what your plan is and understand that this is one of the big key things that a lot of people forget. And I'm gonna give you guys a freebie on me. Make sure when you're drafting players that you're drafting players that are literally not combining all on the same bye week. Because if you do that, you're screwing yourself over for losses.
If you don't know that, I don't know that you should be playing fantasy football, but it's still sound advice. So really
Just
quick
being honest.
as we wrap up here, Nelson, who do you recommend that Tyler Snowden takes for the number one overall pick?
That's an interesting question. Honestly, depends what your strategy is. For me personally, I always go running backs, especially in the first couple of rounds, just because they're going to get the most touches. A lot of people are going to shy away from him, but you know what? There's been a lot of conversation about him being back, and now with the addition of B Rob, you guys can figure it out who I'm talking about.
Christian
Who
McCaffrey.
else? CMC.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the favorite, being everyone's number one draft pick going forward.
All right. There you go, Snowden. There you have it. That's who you should take. All right, guys. Well, hey, good luck to you in your draft and your season, and to everyone playing fantasy football, including you, Nelson. Good luck with your drafts coming up here and your seasons
Thank
going
you.
forward. And for those of you tuning in who aren't usually with us, please subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on all of our social media. We have tons of great content out there. Go check us out. And we talked college football today for the first time we got to. We'll have plenty more coming as the season progresses, including next week. Big week, guys. Get ready. Thursday's coming. Thursday night's going to kick it off. We got 5 consecutive nights and all day Saturday and a couple games Sunday. College football Labor Day weekend opening week 1. So I know Nelson and I are excited. Just fast forward us to there. We're ready. We are ready.
Chris, this is going to be the first Monday night of having football for the next how many months?
Through January.
Dude, it's gonna be
Let's
freaking
go.
awesome, and I can't wait
Yes,
to
sir.
we bring
Woo!
this to you guys. Can't wait.
Let's go! Absolutely. So we'll be back with our takeaways from week 1 in college football. So tune back in, guys, and we'll see you then. But until the next episode, for Nelson Jordan, I'm Chris Nelson. This has been the first and final word.